Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. A great day when we have our friends from the Memoir Writers Association in, and we have that just today. Tracy Jones is the founding board member of the International Memoir Writers Association, co-producer of the Memoir Showcase, and co-editor of the Memoir Showcase anthology, Shaking the Tree, Brazen Short Memoir, Volume 4 of the anthology is coming up, and just a cool cat. How you doing there, Tracy?
So thrilled to be back here in person. So thank you for having us again.
And a little disappointing, you got to see me live, but that's all right. It's a good thing. It's always better to be live. And you brought a colleague with you in that's going to be part of the showcase, and that is Mahshid Hager. She's the founder of Mahshid Hager Counseling and Consulting. How you doing, Mahshid?
Doing really well.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. So did I lose something in the translation? Didn't this used to be the San Diego Memoir Writers Association?
You did not lose anything. Yes, we were founded in the end of 2016 as the San Diego Memoir Writers Association. But as COVID hit and we started to move a lot of our classes and monthly meetings online, our membership increased to be people outside of San Diego. So this year we officially became the International Memoir Writers Association. And it's just exciting. We've got members from Montreal, Australia, Europe, and we're excited to try and see that we can expand this community of memoir writers beyond San Diego, California, the world. It's kind of a big change, and we're really excited about it.
Chris, so you know what question's coming next, right? So I ask it for you every single time, and it's not going to be Stump Tracy. I'll actually do this. You could probably can answer the question without me even answering, and that is, but I know our audience want to know, the difference between an autobiography and a memoir is?
Autobiographies are generally written by famous people, someone that you want to know where they went to kindergarten, all the way to how they met their wife, all the way through the trials in their life, whether they're an actor, a politician, a scientist that discovered a cure for HIV medicine. Those are the people that write an autobiography where you really are so interested in every detail of how this particular famous, important, impactful person came to life. A memoir is for the rest of us. All of us have up and downs in our life. And so we look at our big life as a kind of a pizza. And what's the most interesting slice? And do I want to talk about that slice of my life, the time that I was in New York right after 9/11? Or do I want to talk about getting remarried in my 50s and what that was like? So memoirs are very much a specific point in time. The most famous ones would kind of be like Wild by Cheryl Strayed, where she's walking that Pacific Coast trail by herself, but she's remembering all the things that brought her to that trail. The divorce, her mother's death, her heroin addiction. Eat, Pray, Love, again, a slice of her life where she still goes back and forth into some memories, but it really follows just one particular time point.
Right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong on this, autobiographies you usually just write once, I imagine, but I guess you can write a sequel to it or something like that. But memoirs, you can write more than one, correct?
Absolutely. We always say that you close the memoir and then the next day your whole life falls apart and you start memoir 2, right?
Beautiful.
So the readers want to know you made it through it, everything, but they don't need to know that 2 days later your whole life turned upside down. And that's book 2. And if you're over 40 and living in these times, you've got a memoir or 2 in you. And you can talk to Mahshid about this. It's also super soul satisfying and healing to write about your life, even if it never goes anywhere but your reading group or your classroom. It's really fulfilling to kind of look back at your life and make some meaning of it.
No, I think that's so. And just even writing stuff down is such a therapy as it is just in itself. You got a pretty cool showcase coming up on December 8th. What is that?
So the showcase, this is our 8th annual. We've been doing this for 8 years, and it started with our founder, Marnie Friedman, and I sitting in memoir class classes and hearing these fantastic, 5-6 page stories, and then leaving class and not being able to get them out of our minds and wondering, what are we going to do with these? So we started really small with our first showcase, and now 8 years later, we're going to be at the Conrad Prebys Performing Arts Center in La Jolla, which is beautiful and gorgeous, on Thursday, December 8th at 7 p.m. We have 8 new 5-page stories being told on the theme of what just happened, ? And a fan favorite is also coming back for the night. And these writers have gone with Marnie and I through editing their pieces several times. We've hired professional actors and directors that are local to San Diego to bring it live on stage that night for the showcase.
Yeah, this can be great. Yeah, the Conrad Prebys Performing Arts Center is just something that's absolutely beautiful. And tickets you go to your website for that?
You can go to the Memoir Writers Association website, which is International Memoir Writers with an S.org, internationalmemoirwriters.org, or you can go to the Conrad site directly at theconrad.org and search for Memoir Showcase. So those are 2 places to find out. But if you're interested in writing memoir, check out the International Memoir Writers Association. Again, our monthly meetings are free, and we're always teaching stuff on the craft and business of writing memoirs.
No, that sounds great. There can be some pretty interesting stories at this showcase, are there not?
Well, that's kind of like the fun part about the showcase growing. We had 200 entries this year to choose from. So we had a lot of great ideas that came our way, but they really did. You can't believe it's true, some of these stories, but we have the story of a transgender woman's first day as a transgender person first day as a woman. We have a young woman tripping on acid who meets her birth father for the first time. And we have Mahshid's amazing story as a little Iranian girl in Tehran watching the U.S. hostage crisis unfold on TV.
Is Mahshid part of this showcase, you said? Yeah, beautiful. Mahshid, nice to meet you. And you are the founder of Mahshid Hager Counseling and Consulting. Talk about that.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
And I'm a graduate of San Diego State, like you.
Aztec for life. That's right. Us.
Aztec girl at heart. And I got my marriage and family counseling degree there in 2003, I believe. And then maybe 10, 12 years later, became more interested and focused on trauma work, probably partially because of my own trauma history, but really seeing the effects of trauma in a lot of my clients. And got a specialty in somatic experiencing, which is a body-based approach for trauma healing.
Yeah, and with trauma, certainly contributing to it is this unbelievable stress that we've been facing in this world, for that matter, not just country, especially over the last 10, 15 years. It's just been absolutely, choking, so to speak. And it's really changed a lot of the things we've done, how we think, how we act, and especially how it's impacted young people, has it not?
Absolutely. I mean, the post-COVID years have been particularly intense, but even before that, I'm glad you mentioned the past 10, 15 years.
Right.
My work is primarily focused on nervous system health, and our nervous systems were designed for the news of our village and our small communities, and now we get the news of the entire world. We carry it in our pockets, on our phones, with us everywhere, and the world has been really, really intense the past decade or so, and the effects of that show up in our nervous system. Yeah,
I mean, and maybe not for this discussion, but loved. Already think about having you back on already, and talk about how social media has contributed to that. There's a great Netflix special called The Social Dilemma, and if you have not seen it, everyone should see it. It is certainly game changing. We're chatting with Mahshid Hager. She's the founder of Mahshid Hager Counseling and Consulting. Is going to be part of the iconic Memoir Showcase that'll be coming up on December the 8th at the Conrad Prebys Performing Arts Center, joined by, I can call her friend. She's been on at least 4 times. That constitutes a friend. Tracy Jones, the founding board member of International Memoir Writers Association. Talk a little about your memoir, Mahshid.
My memoir has been a work in progress for now. I don't know, 5 years. Maybe if the world wasn't so intense and I wasn't so busy as a therapist, it would be done by now.
One sentence every week, it'll get you there, you know? Right.
So the slice of pie from my life that is going to be the subject of my memoir is going through the Islamic Revolution.
Wow.
And the subsequent departure from Iran with my family, escaping through the mountains into Turkey.
On foot.
Can't even begin to imagine. And I mean, that is probably 75 volumes worth of. How old were you? Can I ask?
I was 10 years old.
Oh my goodness!
My sisters were 3 and 2, so we were a family of 5.
And what time? When did you do this? What part of the year?
This was in October of 1981.
Okay, so weather is hot, cold.
I mean, we went through the mountains, so it's
freezing.
Icy. Yeah,
right.
Icy, snowy, cold. Yes.
And is your family still? A lot of your family in Iran still?
I still have a lot of family in Iran, and here I just need to name that I'm part of my heart is there right now with the uprising, and I'm standing in solidarity with not only my family members but all the Iranian people as they take to the streets to fight for justice.
Good for you. Yeah, good for you. There's a lot of, connectivity between a lot of people in this world, whether you're Iranian, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Ukrainian, and put in about 75 others on this thing, for God's sake. And so shoulder to shoulder is something that's really important. You have you want to read an excerpt from it?
Sure. Okay. So the story that is in this year's Memoir Showcase is the events of the hostage crisis, the U.S. Embassy hostage crisis unfolding, and us just witnessing it on television. So this was in the afternoon. My father rushed home from work to sort of notify us that this was happening and wanted the TV on. And
well, you weren't even born then.
Oh, I was.
There's no chance. Oh my goodness, infant.
Yeah. So here it goes.
Please.
Reza, are you okay? You don't look right. Mom put an instinctive protective arm around my small 8-year-old frame. My heart began to race. I wasn't ready for another scary event. So much had already changed in the last year. The Shah had left. Ayatollah Khomeini had taken control of the country. Since the start of the revolution, every day had been worse than the day before. So many new rules. My school became an all-girls school overnight. We all had to wear the hijab, and I wasn't allowed to play outside anymore. Mom quit her job. Music, dancing, alcohol, swimming and sunbathing, all banned. And scarier, the violent protests, the arrests, the hangings. Fear covered the whole country in a big dark blanket. It was hard to imagine what might happen next. We turned on the television. I saw what looked like another protest. A massive crowd was gathered chanting, "Death to America." The hatred for America and all things Western confused me. Before the revolution, my father traveled to Europe for work, and my whole family was big fans of American movies. But now, all of that was pure evil. Is that the embassy? Mom's face turned ashen. What embassy? I asked, still trying to figure out what was happening. The U.S. Embassy. They've been there for hours trying to get in. Dad paced in front of the TV, not taking his eyes off the screen. My parents had always talked about us visiting America someday. Dad had told me about the tall buildings in New York. We had friends who had been there. But that was all before the revolution. I wanted to ask if we could still go, but I didn't. The images on TV were scarier than usual, louder and angrier. Hundreds of pro-revolution protesters were gathered, mostly men, their fists in the air, shouting and screaming, their eyes wild with rage. The feeling that something really bad was about to happen took over our whole living room. I can't believe they're taking it this far, Dad said. Until today, the regime's brutal crackdown had been only against Iranians, former government officials, journalists, and activists. This was their first act of violence against another nation. We watched as the protesters pushed up against the gates to the embassy. As the cameras panned out, the American flag became visible. I would probably never see New York.
Wow, that is powerful. We come back from break. Mahshid, I want to talk a little bit more about that, of course. And for anybody that remembers those scenes that day, very very visible, and the people coming out blindfolded, as you well know, and then everything else that came, through that, living up for the 450 days, or how many it was that they were in the hostages. That was certainly world changing in many different ways. And Tracy will talk more about the showcase when we come back. I really want to get also into if you want to learn how to become a memoir writer, really take advantage of it when we return to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Cloudcast Media and Mission Fed Credit Union, as we're here from the Mission Fed studios in Scripps Ranch. Mission Fed's been doing great things for San Diegans for 60 years. We'll be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things in San Diego for 60 years. We are chatting with our friends from the International Memoir Writers Association. Tracy Jones, founding board member of the association. Very cool event coming up on December the 8th Annual Memoir Showcase at the Conrad Prebys Performing Arts Center in La Jolla, 7 o'clock. Tickets are available. You can go to the Memoir Association website for that, and we'll talk more about how to get tickets, and there'll be a showcase of some of the great stories. And we heard a little bit of one of them right before break from Mahshid Hager. She is the founder, CEO of Mahshid Hager Counseling and Consulting. Do you think it helped you write that piece because of your profession, being in the world you're in with therapy and trauma and stress and so forth?
Absolutely. I mean, I am the last person in my family that remembers the events of those years and our escape out of Iran. I'm the oldest of 3 daughters. And I tried to put the story down on paper for many, many, many years. And I would just get flooded. Words would fail me. I would become too emotional. Memory would be spotty. And it wasn't until I had done some significant amount of work on my own trauma healing in the therapy world that I was able to sort of see through the fog and be able to put it all on paper and process it in this very new way.
So how does a therapist get therapy? Do you self-therapize yourself? If I just made up a word, of course, right now. Or do you see another therapist?
The best of us have our own therapist.
Of course. I was just going to say, I'm going to interview myself, and you're not doing a good job today. Well, Drew, that is very true, and it's the person in the mirror you see all the time. No, I'm sure that makes all the sense in the world on this. Tracy, you've been doing this for a while, and 8th, Annual Memoir Showcase, you've heard some great stories. And do you keep these together in a volume, an anthology?
Yes. So it's a little confusing, but Mahshid is in our 8th Annual Memoir Showcase.
Right.
and she's going to be, her story that she performs on December 8th,
Right.
2 years from now will become Shaking the Tree Volume 6.
Right.
So we have the showcase, and then those stories, those 8 or 10 that we do on stage, we do an additional 20 stories that goes through the same editing process with Marnie Friedman and myself and put together an anthology.
Right.
So we're having a soft launch of Shaking the Tree 4 at the showcase. So we actually have Warwick's of La Jolla there selling Shaking the Tree 4. It's the first time we've had it out in public. And then in January and February, we've got launches at Warwick's and Diesel in Del Mar. But it's exciting. We came kind of a couple years ago. We only can focus on 8 or 10 stories. There's so many stories that came in the contest. So the anthology gives us an opportunity to let another 20 to 25 writers be published in a book and be able to add that to their resume that they've been in this. Mahshid will be in 2 anthologies when all is said right now, and maybe more, who knows.
Well, is memoir writing becoming more popular? Are people getting it now and say, oh, okay, I think I want to do this? All of it is publicity and getting the word out and so forth.
I think memoir is becoming more popular because memoir writing has changed to be more like television writing, film writing, fiction writing, where you're telling a hero's story or a heroine's story. So the main thing now is people want a really strong character they want to follow, a real strong character arc, and they want to know all the horrible things you did or all the horrible things you went through, but they want to learn your lesson without having to experience your life. So memoir readers are greedy. They want like vulnerability, let me in, emotions, make me feel it, and then tell me what the lesson is, and I'll see if I can work that into my life. But yes, memoirs are getting made into movies much more often. They're getting made into 8-part series. So memoirs very much, and there's also new genres like flash memoir, telling a story in 50 words or telling a story in 500 words. So the genre itself is constantly changing. And one of the main things for the International Memoir Writers Association is the more diverse writers we can get writing memoirs, the more this genre will change for the better as well.
Yeah, without question. We're chatting with Tracy Jones, founding board member for the International Memoir Writers Association, chatting about the 8th Annual Memoir Showcase on December 8th, 7 p.m. at the Conrad Prebys Performing Arts Center. Also chatting with Mahshid Hager, founder of Mahshid Hager Counseling and Consulting, talking about her memoir. Wrote just a beautiful little snippet on this about the unimaginable trauma that you faced, leaving Iran, and also watching what was happening at the U.S. Embassy during the hostage crisis. Again, I just can't even think twice about that. So Mahshid, when you are working with memoirs, do you recommend to some of your patients, so to speak, that they should write memoirs?
I have recommended that. I mean, journaling has always been part of the therapeutic world,
right.
But there's something so powerful in this medium, specifically the Memoir Showcase. There was a process of putting everything on paper that was really therapeutic, but then to have someone else read your words to you and perform it, and you get to be witness, it takes the story from owning you to you owning it.
Right.
And there's something really palpable and powerful about that. It's very, very healing. And then I just want to name that, like, the Memoir Showcase has been such a great forum for not only people who want to, get their memoir more recognized and their stories more recognized. But the first time I was part of the Memoir Showcase, that little short story became a one-person play 2 years later, because the producer and the director of the show got really interested in the story and was like, let's make this into a full-length play. And I mean, all these other opportunities came from that I hadn't even thought about or imagined.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, Tracy, you were talking about one of our favorite words in our podcast world, and that's storytelling. And storytelling is getting so much more attention, as it should, in this 21st century, at least in the year 22 of it. And people love storytelling. That's why everyone's got a podcast, okay, every 2 seconds. Some not too good. I'd like to think we have a pretty decent one. We've been doing it for 16 plus years on this. I mean, and listen, and you probably the answer is probably yes to this, but I bet this memoir writing could easily turn into podcasts, could it not? Or is it already?
It definitely is. We're the fiscal partner for the San Diego Writers Festival, which is a free all-day event that we held last October in Coronado Public Library. And so the San Diego Writers Festival has a podcast called The Premise, and she speaks to authors on what their premise is. And we also have a Warwick's plus San Diego Writers Festival book club that I'm the interviewer for. And it's a cool book club because we get books that are maybe 6 months out. They've been kind of gotten really good press, but we get to do spoilers. We're with the writer. It's writers interviewing the writer. We get to say, why'd you do that on page 32? And how come you killed off that character? So you talked about how do you become a memoir writer a little bit. I just want to shout out to the San Diego Writers Inc. with an INK, San Diego Writers Inc. There's a year-long memoir certificate program that starts in January that's taught by Marnie Friedman and myself, and it's in 6 parts. And it's just, if you go through that program, you're going to learn everything there is about memoir, and you're going to make a good group of close friends that are going to know you more intimately than sometimes your family and friends do, because they're bringing such vulnerable pieces to class. So Writers Inc. has 1,000 other classes too. So if you're looking for a memoir to dip your toe in, I would check out San Diego Writers Inc. and again, the International Memoir Writers Association as well.
And of course, we had Kristen Fogel on the show not too long ago. Excuse me, she's a force. So that's all great. Mahshid, any final words?
Thanks so much for getting the word out about story writing. I think stories are the bridge to the unknown, and that's how people get to connect and become more familiar with things that maybe scare them or they're unfamiliar with.
No, thanks for your courage and sharing your story, because that takes courage to do that. And Tracy, always good to now see you and hear you. Any final comments?
Just it's a beautiful evening of community, and after kind of being stuck in COVID in our rooms, it's really nice to go out to a night of theater. So I just want to encourage people to, you're going to laugh, you're going to cry. It's a wild ride, and it's all true stories. So just have a great night. Come join us. Right.
Well, of course, Tracy knows this is coming here. We look forward to having you make another return appearance and bringing in people like Mahshid. Just an honor to have her on, and the people you bring on as well. It's great content for our listeners, and hopefully will inspire some of them to be memoir writers. So wishing both of you and your families nothing but a great weekend, wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll look forward to seeing you somewhere down the road.
Thank you so much, Drew, for your support. It means a lot to us.
Thanks, Drew.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things, San Diegans, for more than 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.